welcome to Murder Dictionary Podcast. My name is Brianna, and that is Kelly.
Hey.
So before we get started, we wanted to remind you of a couple things. In the description and show notes, you will always find a few links and resources and whatnot. First of all, you'll find the links to our social media. So if you want to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, the links will be there. If you want to get some merch, we have a couple options. We've got Threadless if you want to get...
Introducing the Capital One Walmart Rewards Card. Earn unlimited 5% back on everything you buy at Walmart online. It's the perfect card for all your family's hints this holiday season. Like 5% back on the air fryer Grandpa told you about when he fell asleep in his chair.
They don't fry anything.
Or 5% back on the laptop your sister had carolers sing to you.
2 turtle doves and a laptop for Carrie.
The Capital One Walmart Rewards Card. Earn unlimited rewards, including 5% back at Walmart online. What's in your wallet?
Terms and exclusions apply. Capital One N.A.
some t-shirts and mugs and phone cases, journals, bunch of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want little items like magnets and stickers, condoms, all the cool shit, you can go on Patreon. Cool. And we've got a few new Patreon supporters that we wanted to say thank you to this week. We wanted to say thank you to Maggie, Aaron, Francesca, Jillian, and Caitlin.
Maggie, Aaron, Francesca,
Ooh.
Jillian,
Saucy.
Saucy, and
Caitlin.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much. And also, I also kind of wanted to say thank you to a couple other people that raised their pledge that were already on our Patreon but went up a little bit. So we wanted to say thank you to Angela, Carrie, and Heather.
Who is it?
Angela, Carrie, Heather.
Heather, congratulations on getting that raise, guys. Like, you deserve it.
Good job. Moving on up.
For putting it where it counts.
So also in the description and show notes, you'll find links to like our research materials if you want to do some more reading, and some resources for, let's say, domestic violence and mental health resources, suicide hotlines, CPS, 12-step programs, a bunch of stuff like that. So if you need those resources, we always put links
like
in the show
help
notes.
Section.
Exactly. The self-help kind of area.
Yeah. You have an announcement, huh?
Yeah, announcement time.
You're pregnant.
No.
True crime and chill paid off, guys.
Don't you put that evil on me. So, I mean, obviously, first of all, I'd like to say we normally don't really talk about ourselves very much, like especially well, there's that too. No, just kind of like I want to keep the focus on the cases and the whatever. So normally we don't do long intros or anything.
Yeah.
But we were gone for a couple weeks, so I don't want to just gloss over that and not explain.
Yeah.
You know?
Not like we don't like doing this.
Right.
It's not you.
It's us. Specifically, it's me.
No, I'm there.
So I don't know. So I want to make sure that people know what's going on. But normally it's not a normal thing for us to just kind of make the podcast about ourselves. Because to me, it's mostly about the cases, the victims, and stuff like that. But we missed a couple weeks. So I wanted to let you guys know what's going on. So first of all, obviously I'm really stuffy and nasally, and I have been for like a couple months now at least. And you can hear it on the episodes, right?
No.
We can all hear it.
No.
You don't have to lie to me.
You're just cute.
But thank you.
Yeah.
So I have some sinus problems. That's what's going on. And I don't know, I have some kind of semi-serious health issues. I'm not going to cry. I'm totally not going to cry.
No, don't cry.
But I've been very sick. And so we took a couple weeks off, and we're going to have to take a little bit more time off coming up because I'm actually having surgery on the 21st of this month. So just to let you guys know, at minimum, we'll be gone that week, if not a couple weeks. I mean, we're trying to kind of record ahead of time to make sure that we have at least something in the meantime. And I've got some Patreon episodes kind of in the works, so we can probably drop at least one, if not two, Patreon episodes while we're gone. But just so you guys know, at minimum that week of the 21st, we're definitely not going to be able to do an episode. So
I thought it was gonna be honestly a week. Like I was like, that's not even.
Well-
Don't rush yourself to get fucking better. That would be my worst fear.
I'm going to really try. I'm going to try.
Oh yeah. You're just gonna try?
Well, because we can kind of record a couple earlier
Yeah.
and hopefully, we're going to try and make it work to not really miss more than 1 or 2 episodes.
That would be
That's
great.
my goal.
Yeah.
But if that doesn't happen, I just want you guys to know I'm totally not slacking. I feel really bad. I really don't want anybody to hate me,
Oh
but
my
I'm
God.
super sick and I can't help it. This will be my 6th sinus surgery, lucky number 6. So I'm pretty fucked up. I'm trying to hold it together and I'm trying to not sound like this, but that's what's going on. And I know it sounds awful, but pretty soon you won't have to hear me be all nasally. So that'll be good too,
I
right?
mean, people love you. One, people are gonna hate you for not doing this, and we all want you to be better. And I'd be more sad if you were doing it. People don't know, but you've been doing it through like
Some major shit.
some major shit, man.
I'm trying to
and
hold it together.
You're doing so good. I
So,
admire you.
thanks, bro. Love you, man.
Love you too.
So I don't know. I think, we can move on, but just so you know, like we might miss 1 or 2 episodes.
Yeah.
But we'll be back. That's not like a long-term hiatus or anything. But don't get scared that we're never coming back.
Oh, we're coming.
We're coming for you.
We're coming.
So with that said, just so you guys know like kind of what's going on in the background, we can kind of get started on our story now that we're
Woo!
done talking about me. Sorry.
Well, you want to talk about you more? That's my favorite thing to talk about.
We just talked about me for so long before we hit
Okay.
record, though. I don't think I could do it anymore. I normally don't talk about myself, so
Yeah, and that's why I love it. It's usually me just crying.
oh no,
I don't have an excuse to be nasally. I just is.
You just
know?
is.
You know.
cocaine.
Okay.
So tonight we're starting letter W for witchcraft.
Woo.
Cool. And I just probably should preface the connection to witchcraft for this one is kind of thin, but the case was good enough to where I was just like, yeah, I want to cover this. Even though it's like, okay, there was a spell like once.
Yeah.
Still, I'm going to cover it.
It's just a woman, any woman murder one.
She's a
and
witch.
She's a witch. And she's probably just holding a crystal. She had a crystal around her neck.
Right?
She's a fucking witch.
She's kind of got a flowy shirt on. So
Yeah.
definitely witchcraft. So this is a loose witchcraft story, but we will start with Scott and Cherrylle. So 18-year-old Scott Dell came to Ontario, Canada in the 1960s because he was trying to avoid the draft.
Nice.
He met 17-year-old Cherrylle and they pretty quickly got married. So over the next couple decades, they had a couple children, both biologically and through adoption. And people say that they seemed pretty happy. And I think that was mostly outwardly because the interior of their relationship was pretty fucked up. So Cherrylle was really flamboyant. She was attractive. She was always extremely social. She was one of those people that was very over the top, like talked with her hands, like got a lot of attention and whatnot.
I don't know anything about that.
Uh-huh. People recall that she was always like a bit overboard. She told a lot of really outlandish, kind of unbelievable stories, and they were always very elaborate. And nobody ever really called her an outright liar, but it seems from the way that they talked about her that they thought that she was at least stretching the truth. Like she was one of those people.
Okay. They're like, oh, she's full of it, but she's fun.
Yeah, like at least she's a good time,
Yeah.
but we could tell that that's not a true story. There's something in there that's stretched. So Cherrylle didn't really fit into the small community. It's unclear if people knew that she was kind of involved in witchcraft and casting spells and doing rituals and stuff, or if it was just her other kind of outlandish ways. But she definitely was an outcast in the community.
Okay.
Scott himself was an atheist, but really nobody seemed to take issue with that. It wasn't really a big thing. It seemed like it wasn't something he talked about. It was just part of his kind of private life, but she was a little bit more outspoken. Friends and neighbors describe Scott as the perfect house husband and loving father. He stayed home with the kids. I don't exactly know what she did for work, but
She used her hands a lot and told stories.
exactly on the street corner, and people gave her money, you know? So he was always like cooking, baking bread, he grew vegetables at home, and he was always playing with the kids. Like if you saw the kids, you saw Scott. If you saw Scott, you saw the kids. One particular story that really stood out to me was that Scott at one point got sick and it involved his throat. And there was a possibility that he would lose his voice and it would be permanently impaired. And because he was scared that his speech would be affected, Scott taped himself reading his kids' favorite books so that they would always have that to listen to him reading. I know.
Stop.
I
Oh,
know.
man, that's sweet.
So sweet. Yes. So he was just that kind of very thoughtful, available, like loving father. He really cared about the kids. He was very involved. But Cherrylle, on the other hand, had a lot more trouble adjusting to motherhood and kind of letting go of some of her independence, maybe some of her partying, stuff like that. But Scott, he kind of seemed to always forgive her. And no matter what she did, he let her come home. And even if she went out with other guys, even if she was partying too much, whatever it was, he was fine with it. He always forgave her. In fact, he even forgave her when she falsely accused him of sexually abusing their young adopted daughter.
Okay, he's dumb.
Yeah, right? Too far.
He was
too
cool.
far. Like everything else sounded good, but now you're just a doormat, and that's not good. That's not healthy either.
No.
It's not good for the kids to see that, you know? I mean,
mean-
it's not good for the relationship, it's not good for you, but the example you're setting for the kids is fucked
You
up.
falsely accused. How does that did she accidentally do that? She accidentally
Right? No, it was
How
on
do you-
purpose. It was a planned out thing for sure.
But how do you apologize? I don't even know where to start on that apology.
I know. Well, Cherrylle, like, she went to Child Protective Services and she made their daughter file a complaint against Scott.
You're involving the kid too now? Oh my god.
Yes. Yeah. And child welfare authorities like removed the children from the house. He lost custody temporarily. They investigated the allegations, the whole thing. They went to court, everything.
If you want a break from your kids, just call the grandparent. Just call your mom.
Get a babysitter.
Babysitter.
Like for real. There's a ton of 15-year-old girls that need jobs. You know?
At a really good discounted price.
Right. It's just crazy. There's so many solutions and yeah, it's fucked up.
Damn.
But I mean, I think she was I don't even know how to like categorize that behavior, but there was something in her that was just maybe after so much time being with him, resentful or whatever, or just wanted chaos and drama. Maybe she was one of those people.
Yeah, he's
So she was just
perfect.
starting shit
Yeah.
for no reason. He was perfect.
Yeah, you wanted to make him look like a shittier husband when he's
Yeah.
perfect.
Right. And maybe it was like people are judging her. She feels like an outcast. She needs to create some sort of blemish on his perfect kind of
Yeah.
veneer or whatever it is. I don't know.
They're like, she's like, you don't even know him. They're like, oh really? What does he do? And she's like,
Right.
he touched her daughter one time. Then you got to follow through with that.
Right.
So,
Like now you're in too deep. Now
Yeah.
you got to make up a story.
Yeah.
Now you've taken the child to file a complaint.
Ugh.
Yeah. So I don't know, but he always forgave her. So like even though they went to the court, the Child Protective Services investigated, and the case was too thin. They really didn't have anything to back it up. It was just the word of the one daughter that was clearly coached, you know. So he took her back. The case was dropped. Everything kind of went back to normal after that, which is fucking weird, you know.
I've never had true love in my life. This is how I know.
That's what that means?
Yeah.
Oh man. I guess me neither. Fuck, man. Someone that would like burn my clothes on the front lawn, take me back after that shit. That's true love.
That's true love. We don't know that love, man. One day.
So eventually later on, the daughter admitted the whole thing was false, you know, after the charges were dropped and later, you know, years passed and the daughter said she felt bad the whole time. Like her mom was coaching her. She knew it wasn't true, but Cherrylle made her do it. So again, he forgave her, whatever. It just passed over like nothing. However, Scott's family, particularly Cherylle's mother-in-law, of course, was super pissed about it. They never forgave her. So anyone that really loved Scott and cared about him, of course, couldn't let it go. Rightfully so.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody should. So they had a pretty tumultuous relationship after that. There was definitely some intense resentment. But it seemed no matter what Cherrylle did, Scott always just came back to her, forgave her, and let it just go like nothing happened. So eventually, Cherrylle met someone else, though, and got into a serious relationship. And this wasn't like some of the maybe partying or one-night stands that she had. She met a woman at a support group meeting and began a very serious affair with her. The other woman was named Gay Doherty. I always get confused with saying it's like Doherty or right?
Yeah, Doherty.
Doesn't it sound weird?
Shannon Doherty. What would I say?
Yeah,
I said
Doherty.
Yeah.
Gay Doherty, that was
Gay
her
Doherty.
name. So Gay had moved to Ontario at the age of 18. And from 1971 to 1985, she worked for the Roman Catholic Church. She which is a great thing for you to do if you're anywhere on the LGBTQ spectrum, right?
Yeah, that's brave.
Hashtag brave. So she made a promise to be celibate and obedient, similar to a nun's vows, but she wasn't a nun. She just worked for the church. So in the mid-80s, Gay made the tough decision that she needed to leave the church. Of course, she probably didn't fit in for various reasons, and she decided she wanted to experience life, not
Yeah.
something that's just sheltered. She wanted to kind of live her own truth, it sounds like.
And finger blasting is too much fun.
I mean, really, that is life.
Like,
finger blasting is life.
Can you like, if you're celibate, does that include jerking yourself off?
That's what I want to know too.
Where are the boundaries? I don't.
Like, it's just no partners. Because I'm like, if I were just to jerk off, like,
Fine.
I'd probably be pretty happy.
I'd be so happy.
I'd be fine with that.
and never disappointed.
I'm good to me.
I'm the best fuck I've ever had.
I mean, really.
Always.
So, I mean, that sounds, we should become nuns. It's our calling.
Let's do it. We gotta do a wardrobe change. Like, we gotta do a little Queer Eye like makeover for nuns.
Yes.
So
I just want to spin and have my outfit fade into a nun's habit, I want to.
do it.
Let's see. A few years after leaving the church in about the early 90s, Gay met Cherrylle, and they were both attending an incest survivors group. So at this support group, they became friends. They met each other. They were attending the same fellowship, and they started hanging out just for companionship. But eventually they kind of both figured out they were attracted to each other. And then beyond that, they began a romantic relationship. But it seems like it developed over time. Pretty quickly after starting to actually date and be romantic, they became completely inseparable. And they spent all of their time together. So in 1992, after Scott and Cherrylle had been together for like 20 years at this point, they decided to separate. I guess it just finally was the thing that Scott really couldn't let go. I mean, she was really in a serious relationship, so I guess, it was time to move on. But he made it very clear that he still loved her and he wanted to be with her. He wanted to make it work. And basically, if she ever decided that relationship didn't work, he would still take her back. He made it clear.
Where is he at? Like, where? My Canadian man.
I mean, spoiler alert, it's a murder story.
Yeah, but it's a witch, so clearly she did it. Oh, so he's dead. I'm dumb.
I was like, wait for it. She'll get it in any second.
You gotta give me a 2-second grace period. You see the light too, like
hashtag drugs. Do you want to tell me about how many whippets you did again?
12. Thanks, Mom.
So when Gay and Cherrylle began this relationship, Gay really expected it to be a pretty healthy, stable relationship. And I think part of that is that early dating, pink cloud optimism. But the other part of it, I think, is just that she met her in a support group where she probably saw the healthiest part of her, like the part of her that wanted to get well,
Yeah.
talk through things, be a survivor, like, And then eventually, of course, when she hung out with her more, that became more obvious that that wasn't really her true self, So Gay said, I thought I was going to have a smart New York cocktail kind of affair. She said her expectations were that it would be, quote, sophisticated.
Ooh.
Yeah. Don't we all, girl?
Because
So-
Canada just screams sophistication.
Just like New York. It's the New York that talks funny.
It's my favorite accent, too.
The Aboot New York. So instead, of course, she quickly found out that Cherrylle was pretty unstable, pretty emotionally unhealthy, and kind of a nut,
Yeah. Is it wrong for me to think, honestly, might be a little like, I just feel like women would give you more of a supportive relationship. I just feel like if I was to go date a woman, it's also like, I'm like, I don't really want that much feeling, and like that, I just feel like it would be more supportive and loving, and
Yes.
I'm not into that. So
There's a lot more like emotions and feelings and sensitivity.
and sharing those feelings.
Yeah.
And being
The problem is you and I are not those people.
That's true.
We're like, you want to like fuck and watch comedy and smoke and then okay, bye.
And then when I'm
And
ready
then get
to
the fuck
cry-
out of here.
Yeah. And when I have one meltdown and I have to cry once, just listen, and then
Just listen and then it's done.
just pass me the weed while I'm crying. It's just such an easy fix.
Just be a bro.
Yes. Thanks, bro. Sorry for yelling.
And then it's over.
Yeah.
But yeah, she totally had those expectations that it was like very healthy, very emotionally supportive, and that's
Yeah.
just not what happened.
Mhm.
Yeah, you got to be on the same page with that shit. So, Gay says that she was also extremely surprised to find out that Cherrylle was into witchcraft and casting spells and stuff. That wasn't something, I guess, that she knew right away.
Which, coming from the Roman Catholic Church,
Yeah,
it's totally accepted.
big shocker.
Yeah. But being gay is too, so I don't know.
I
if
know,
you're gonna
right?
bend a couple rules.
Bend them all over.
Yeah. I hear that.
So it was concerning to Gay that Cherrylle was also extremely angry at her ex-husband. And this is the part where it just gets a little weird for me. She was extremely preoccupied with trying to hurt him. So by all accounts, she was the one the entire time that was the bad partner. You know what I mean? And I know things aren't always just that black and white. There's a lot of gray area, whatever. But it seems like she was constantly treating him bad. But even after they broke up, she was very obsessively thinking about hurting him, how angry she was with him, getting back at him, the whole thing, which was very, very weird. It just doesn't make a lot of sense.
How could you hurt someone or want to hurt someone that grew you vegetables? In Canada, which is not an easy feat to do.
I would take vegetables over roses like any day.
What?
Like you grew these
Give me a
with your own hands.
2 sweet potatoes?
Dude.
Ugh.
Love you, boo.
Like, we don't know love. And that really sucks that she's just trying to. There are some people I would really like to see like fall down some stairs.
Yeah.
But
you're not
wouldn't-
obsessed with it constantly.
Yeah, and I
you
wouldn't
know what I mean?
facilitate it.
It
for
doesn't
sure.
take up that much space in your brain. But it seemed like for her, it was like for years while they were together, it was about destroying him and being mean to him and treating him shitty. Then once they broke up, she couldn't let go of it. Like all she wanted to do was focus on hurting him.
I wonder where that comes from.
Yeah, it's
'Cause
so weird, right?
The incest support group, you know what I mean? Like, I wonder
There's
if
something
there's some
there.
type of weird family, like you just don't like your family, whether or not they're your husband or
Right.
you have some
Or
type of
can't
weird...
trust them and let them in. So you want to
Exactly.
always try and like one up them and get back at them, even
Yeah.
if they haven't done anything wrong.
And
There's
especially
something.
men too, specifically. Maybe
Yeah, maybe.
it was a male in
There's
her
a-
household.
Possibly.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's got to be something there that's very early childhood related.
or maybe this guy was a real dick and we just don't know, and he just
Secret dick.
yeah, he just did really good things. He's like, so babe, what did I do today? Oh, I put our kid's favorite story on tape. What did you do? Oh, you went to your support group? Cool.
And he just makes like jerk off pantomimes like, oh, your support group? Uh-huh, you did a lot. Okay.
Are you cured yet?
I'm assuming it's got to be something like that.
And I made dinner. With these sweet potatoes I grew. Like, oh man, that could be annoying.
Yeah, I don't know.
No,
I don't know.
It's loving and amazing. I just had to see both sides.
It's just, there's something there that's crazy that she's so obsessed with it. And just multiple people, not just gay, but later on, people will still be like, she's really obsessed with her ex-husband for a long time.
Thank God there was no fucking social media. Thank God.
Oh my God. Can you imagine if she could log into his Facebook or see his Insta?
Oh.
No, man. Be over for him. Yeah. So she was really preoccupied. Like, she couldn't let it go. And Gay says that Cherrylle once performed like a voodoo kind of ritual at home where she made a doll that resembled Scott, her estranged husband, and she kind of like stood over it, cast some spells, like poked it, did the whole thing to try and get back at him.
That's not funny. I just imagined her like putting the doll on the floor and then she just like she just squats on his face, just drops it down. I would just
tries to smother him.
Yeah, just puts him in between her toes and I don't know, just tries to pull him apart. You can have fun with the voodoo doll, huh?
So Gay says that, quote, she went and purchased some kind of waxy material and did this voodoo thing, made it look like Scott and put ropes and ribbons and pins in it, said certain things over it, and then I think she buried it. That's what Gay said.
Why the fuck was Gay just watching the whole time?
Right? That should be like, you're just kind of walking slowly backwards towards the door. Yeah.
Babe.
Or trying to stop it or something.
Babe, Friends is on. Can we
just come over here. Just watch this with me. You don't even have to do that anymore. He's not even here.
He's not.
Let it go.
I would feel really unloved too. Be obsessive over me. Make dolls about me.
Right? I would feel kind of weird just knowing that you're that preoccupied with your ex.
I'm jealous. Yeah, I'd be like, so you still like them? So you still
love
them?
That means there's something there.
Yeah.
For sure. So on the other side, Scott seemed, again, completely incapable of staying mad at Cherrylle, no matter what she did. Even if they broke up, whatever, couldn't stay mad at her.
Sweet, sweet man.
Right. He would do anything to win her back, really. He also seemed to feel responsible for his ex, and he wanted to protect her and help her. So whenever she needed something, he was that person that she would call. Like, okay, here, the car broke down. He would help her pay for it. She, I don't know, ran out of something. She needed something. He got that call, and he always answered the call, and he always took care of her.
She needed more ribbons and pins for her voodoo doll.
Exactly. Yep.
So mad.
Let me hand you the shovel so you can bury my voodoo doll. So since he was always trying to be there for her and he never stopped loving her, she took advantage of him, and she was always able to manipulate him to do anything that she wanted and get whatever from him. Of course, this complicated dynamic was a problem for the new girlfriend, Gay, but it was kind of just one of many problems. You know what I mean? Clearly, it wasn't a super stable, awesome relationship.
But this should be like the last string, or,
Yeah, that's definitely a big deal.
Straw. Whatever. Last string, straw.
Although initially, Cherrylle and Gay were inseparable in a good way, eventually Gay began to feel really suffocated, and she wanted to kind of get some healthy space from Cherrylle. Gay said, quote, "After only a few months, I desperately wanted out. I felt like my life was being totally consumed." But she also said that she stayed a little bit longer. Like, she typically would have broken up with Cherrylle. However, because there were kids involved and Gay became really attached to the kids, she didn't want to leave Cherrylle. She was a little bit hesitant to not try and make it work,
Yeah. This lady gets really good partners.
Right.
People that support her and love her.
Lesson 1, be a fucking bitch.
Yeah.
You're always going to have sweet people around if you're an asshole. So Gay says, "The children were important to me. They were the only reason I remained in that relationship for so long." But eventually, Gay decided that it wasn't working out, and she broke up with Cherrylle.
Wait, how are the kids not with the dad? Oh.
I think they split time, from what I understand.
Okay.
And I think they lived close enough to where they split time pretty frequently.
Okay.
But I'm not positive about the custody arrangement. But
I just
it
thought,
seemed like they were around both parents.
Like falsely accusing someone of touching your children would make you unfit to be a mom, right?
Because it was dropped.
Oh, yeah.
I guess, I don't know. If they found evidence immediately that it was false, yes. But I don't think that the daughter came out for years to say, like,
Yeah.
Whatevs. So during the breakup, Cherrylle became really emotionally unstable, like she wasn't before, but more so. And she started destroying their things. And she was ripping up poetry that Gay had written for her. She was breaking things, just having tantrums.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
This is why people say women are crazy,
Is that why?
That's why. This one case.
And then when they're crazy, then they're automatically witches.
Yeah, exactly, dude.
You can't be crazy without being a witch.
No, you're on your period or you're a witch.
So after trying to destroy everything else, Cherrylle also tried to commit some self-harm. She attempted to commit suicide by overdosing on medication the night that they broke up.
She should go the route I'm going and just eating 12 donuts.
I mean,
It's
really.
a lot. I mean, it feels awful.
You don't have to take that whole pill bottle if you just like open your mouth and slide donuts down your throat hole.
Squeeze custard and just rub it on your entire body.
We both ate donuts today. I actually, I told my coworker at one point, I walked into the office and closed the door behind me and I'm like, I don't want anyone to see how gross I'm going to be. And I just took apart this custard donut and like deep-throated that shit till tears were coming down my face.
I've been telling the clerks, me and my roommate are going to have a lot of fun tonight. We're going to eat some snacks and chill on the couch when it's just me because I'm buying too many snacks. They're like, oh, yeah? Because I buy things in twos. I'll buy 2 sodas and 2 bags of chips because I'll probably want
You
it
don't
the next
just
day.
rub your stomach and go, I'm eating for 2. That would be my suggestion.
In these pants, I might do it tonight because these are real school teacher pants. Cheaper habit to self-harm. So,
I mean, really, donuts are preferable to pills.
Also, if you need help, please go to our link section.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm going to go there.
We need to go there tonight.
It's your own advice.
Oh my God.
So she didn't like get committed or anything, did she?
No, she didn't. It just kind of blew over. She recovered at home, it sounds like.
Okay.
Yeah. So she recovered. The situation kind of calmed down. And Gay still, the good news is Gay stuck by her decision to leave and still break up with Cherrylle. And eventually Cherrylle seemed to get over it, because I think it's easy for some people to kind of fall back and be like, oh, okay, I take you back. Like, I don't want you to hurt yourself,
I was just kidding.
Right.
Let me make you better.
Right.
Good for her for not doing that.
I think that's really strong, That's awesome. But they remained friends and they even hung out together after Cherrylle began a new relationship. So accounts vary, but the next person Cherrylle met, we know, is Nancy Fillmore. And they met either from a personal ad or because Nancy was hired as a nanny for the kids. Possibly a combination, because it would make sense if it's like an ad placed for a nanny or something.
Okay.
I don't know, but I found varying sources, but it would make sense if it's both. But whatever it was, they met, they hit it off, and they started dating. And pretty quickly after they started dating, they moved in together.
Always a good choice.
Oh, perfect timing. Let's like week 2, I barely know you. That's the best time to just like sign a lease.
How else are you going to get to know each other?
Yeah, really. You got to wake up, go to bed, like everything together.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I don't really know you. You're a stranger.
Maybe I'm doing it all wrong, though. Honestly, what if that is the way?
You need
Romeo
to shack
and
up,
Juliet.
man.
Yeah. I mean, you just got to go hard, right?
Yeah, definitely go hard.
Earth go hard.
Brain. So even though she had started this new relationship, again, Cherrylle was still obsessed with her ex-husband. So friends say that Cherrylle constantly talked about how she hated Scott and wished that he was dead. even though now this is her second relationship after the marriage. She was very outspoken about how she wanted like sole custody of the children. She wanted sole ownership of their house. She wanted to take over the farm that they had, the whole thing. And she was not really shy about talking about it to anyone that would listen. Cherrylle also told people that she wanted her husband out of her life forever, just didn't want to deal with him. Her new girlfriend, Nancy, said that she first started talking about wanting to shoot Scott during hunting season and pretend it was an accident. Nancy explained that Cherrylle thought that this plan would really work because she said that her father taught her how to shoot and she could kind of make it look like it was just an accident. But it also seemed that Cherrylle would not have to keep planning very long because around this time that she started thinking about and planning to hurt him, Scott got diagnosed with cancer. A friend recalled that, quote, she didn't seem to be upset by the cancer diagnosis. And in fact, Cherrylle seemed like she felt it was an answer to her prayers. Scott would die and she would get what she wanted.
Yeah, honestly, that's exactly what it was. She just said that. Like,
that's all she was hoping for.
That's all she was hoping for, and then boom.
Yeah.
Isn't that shitty how life works out like that? Like, the shittiest people get what they want.
Right? Again, we just need to start being shitty.
Yeah, with no
We're
effort,
too
though.
nice.
I feel like the nice people that, work really hard and do good stuff, it usually works out for them. But, like, the shitty people just sit around and money falls in their laps.
Like, oh, look what fell off the money tree.
Fuck, man.
Yeah. So her ex-girlfriend, Gay, said that Cherrylle called to say that she was planning to buy a new house and to sell Scott's current house and that she would inherit all his money when he died. She was totally just planning out her future with him being gone.
You're talking about your ex-husband to your ex-girlfriend while you have another...
Yes! This bitch. I can't even... Oh, she makes me so mad.
I'm mad at the people for not calling her out on it. I just... Why would you put up with that?
Yeah.
Brad, dude, that makes me so mad.
So Gay says she fully expected that he would die. And beyond that, she was even planning for it in many ways.
She's counting down. She's marking down her calendar.
Oh, yeah.
Countdown.
She's got one of those Advent, like pulling out the chocolate every day, closer.
Little voodoo doll in each one.
Yeah, just pin it down. So Cherrylle was extremely disappointed when Scott's cancer went into remission. But soon after people found out that Scott was in remission, Cherrylle began telling people that his cancer flared up again, that it came back. Even though he wasn't saying that, nobody else was saying that, just Cherrylle.
It's her wishful thinking. Again.
Right, totally. So I'm not sure if this is to make people think that his situation was more dire, so if she did carry out some plans, like it would work out, or if she was possibly trying to make people feel sorry for her. Like some sort of Munchausen's by proxy kind of thing. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I mean, she wasn't making him sick, but there's something about it that makes me feel like she wanted the sympathy of whatever he was going through.
I'm pretty sure she was making him sick. She wished that he had cancer. She wished he
would be
dead.
And yeah, you're right.
Oh, man. She's gonna do this whole secret thing where she goes and puts it out there. She tells everyone.
She made a vision board about it.
Vision board, and then watch it's gonna flare up.
Yeah. Well, Cherrylle also began claiming that she urged Scott to see a doctor. And she told people that Scott had said he wanted to stay home and he wanted to die on the farm. So she was like totally spinning this web of Scott's really sick. Scott's going to die soon. I've told him to see a doctor. He won't do it. He wants to die at home. Like this whole thing for people to believe that he was going to be gone any day now, basically.
So they wouldn't be surprised when he showed up dead?
Right. And in reality, there was no trace of cancer in his body. He was fully in remission. Right. He seemed to be healthy. He was happy. By all accounts, he was in great spirits. Like, everybody that knew him and only talked to him said he was fine. But according to her, he was like on death's door, and she would tell everybody that.
Oh, what kind of tapes did he record when he found out he had cancer.
Right?
You know, you thought your throat was going to be, your voice was going to be gone.
It's like.
What kind of tapes do you make when you know you're going to die?
Oh, man.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Deep thoughts. I'm just going to do true crime and chill, true crime and chill, true crime and chill. And then I'm just going to have you replay it while you fall asleep.
Yeah.
That's
music to my ears. So even though he seemed to be doing well and everything was going good for him, Cherrylle again began obsessing about harming him. She mentioned to a couple people that she wanted to hire a hitman. Her friend Kim even said that Cherrylle tried to find out how much antifreeze would be needed to kill a person. And she was asking people, but then beyond that, she couldn't get an answer. So Nancy says that Cherrylle tried to anonymously call the poison control center and ask them how much antifreeze would be lethal. Like, I just want to know how she did that. Like, what kind of questions can you ask that are not completely obvious? You can't be like, I'm asking for a friend, you know?
She's like, so I drank some antifreeze, but like, I don't really know how much I drank, but like, what?
How much is a safe amount?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Shit is crazy. So Nancy says that in December 1995, Cherrylle forced her to purchase wine and antifreeze when she was out grocery shopping.
I mean, forced me.
That's what I'm saying.
So we weren't together and you didn't put a gun to my head.
Nancy's
confused.
the one that she was with.
Oh, okay.
Gay was the one that she broke up with.
Yeah, but how do you force someone?
It just doesn't make sense. Either way, eventually she had the wine and antifreeze in her possession.
Huh.
So Nancy brought them home and she watched as Cherrylle mixed the antifreeze into the bottle of wine. Somehow, I don't know if it was from the poison control center or whatever, Cherrylle had found out that about 4 ounces of antifreeze was lethal. So she added like a little bit more than that.
That's not much at all.
No, right? Not much at all.
Man.
That seems like a very small amount.
I'm very scared now.
Yeah.
Keep antifreeze around, but still.
Maybe it accidentally just falls into your bottle of wine. Yeah.
Or maybe one of my baby mamas is trying to kill me. What the fuck, man?
So Nancy, while this was happening, says that she kept telling Cherrylle to stop. She says she was freaking out and yelling at Cherrylle, and Cherrylle was just telling her to shut up, telling her to calm down.
Yeah.
And I don't know, they were arguing about it. So for Christmas, 1995, Cherrylle planned on giving Scott that poisoned bottle of wine as a present. Right after Christmas, like within a few days of Christmas, Cherylle's ex-girlfriend, Gay, came to visit. And on the 28th of December in 1995, Cherrylle also asked Scott to come by the house. So her 2 exes and her current girl were in the same place at the same time, doing some like post-Christmas celebrating. Cherrylle told Scott that she had a dream that he would have spiritual visions after drinking the wine that she gave him as a Christmas gift.
Why is Cherrylle? Oh, wait. Okay, never mind. Never mind.
Nancy said Cherrylle was trying to help him on his spiritual journey. She was loaning him books, and one of them was the Celestine Prophecy, and it was about important coincidences in your life. So she used this dialogue as like, weaving important coincidences had to do with her dream, meaning he's supposed to drink the wine and he's supposed to have visions. And she just so happened to give him a bottle of wine for Christmas. After they all hung out, Scott returned home with the bottle. Once he left, Nancy recalls that Cherrylle got out her witchcraft books, lit some candles, and started saying some rituals and prayers and stuff, assuming that this was to try and get him to drink the wine.
I mean, it kind of sells itself. It's wine. It's a free bottle of wine. It's not really coincidence that you it's just not coincidence. You bought him the fucking bottle. That makes no sense.
It does not. But she was trying to make it seem like, oh, I had a dream about it. Like after, I don't know. She was trying to weave it like it all was coming together. But really it's just like, here's this gift. Do what you're supposed to do with this gift.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like giving someone a CD and being like, I had a dream that you listen to music.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? That's what you do with a fucking, I don't get it. Come on.
Do a spell to hope that you listen to that CD.
Yeah.
She's a silly lady.
Reaching, definitely. So once Scott got home, he started drinking the wine and
No way.
Yes.
It worked.
Yes. The spells. It's definitely the spells for sure. So he began calling Cherrylle and apparently was almost hourly. He would just pick up the phone and call her and whatever. And on the phone, he told Cherrylle that he had just started drinking the wine and he was listening to their old music that they listened to together on the record player. And he was doing a lot of thinking about her. Once she knew that he was drinking the wine, she tried to keep him on the phone so she could hear what's going on. So that basically she could hear him slowly kind of wasting away.
Couldn't he just be like, this wine tastes like shit, Cherrylle? Jesus, it's terrible tasting. It's kind of green too.
Right. But she kept him on the phone for hours, talking about their relationship and various memories that they shared together. And it's assumed that she also kind of hinted at a reconciliation because he always wanted to get back together with her. And she was doing this to kind of keep him talking and keep him on the phone. During the conversation, she urged him to keep drinking the wine while waiting for him to die.
Shots. Have you ever done shots of wine? It's like way better. I'm just kidding.
No. I was so there with you for a second and I was like, wait, what? No, that doesn't make sense at all.
I like that you believe that I've done shots of wine. I already knew it.
That was definitely not the unbelievable part to me. So Nancy says that Cherrylle told her some of the things that he was saying. According to Nancy, quote, he was saying, "You're here with me. I can see your angel spirit. I don't know if this is part of these visions or if he was just making it up or if the things were getting to him. By drinking the wine with the antifreeze, like I think he was losing his mind." So he was telling Cherrylle that he was seeing things and that she was there and she was an angel. But according to Nancy, of course, and because we know what was in the wine, it's pretty clear that he was maybe just kind of tripping out a bit, not fully there, seeing things. Yeah, for sure. It was definitely the antifreeze talking.
It's not the wine.
So Cherrylle stayed on the phone till about 4 a.m. The last thing that Nancy heard Cherrylle say onto the phone was, "Are you okay?" And apparently there was no answer, and she hung up. After the murder, Cherrylle told Nancy she better keep quiet, otherwise the cops might think that Nancy did it because she was the current girlfriend, and that Nancy was more likely to be accused of it because it would be a jealousy thing or whatever. And so Cherrylle basically scared Nancy into keeping quiet.
Well, she should be accused anyways for fucking sitting there and just watching it like a movie.
Yeah, it's kind of...
What?
Yeah,
Like-
that's it. I don't know. Like, I can't imagine not saying something, not stepping up and being like, this is not okay. Like, I'm leaving, I'm calling the cops, I'm doing whatever to stop this because someone is losing their life currently as you're sitting there on the phone.
Maybe if he had, like, beat her, and not saying that that's okay too, but I could understand it. I could understand the revenge or, like, seeking.
We know you're all about vigilante justice.
Totally. I could see that, and I'm not saying it's okay, it's right, but I could understand
but it's
it more.
so much less logical when he was, by all accounts, such a really good person.
And a great father to your kids that you were
Yeah.
a shit mother to. Like, I just don't.
Yeah.
It's not cool. I hope she gets... Continue. I can't wait to see what happens to Nancy.
The next morning, Gay asked why Nancy talked to Scott all night instead of hanging out with her guest.
Yeah.
Like, Gay was there to visit, but she spent all her time on the phone, right? It's
Wait,
fucked
Nancy
up.
or Cherrylle stayed on the phone?
Cherrylle.
Okay,
sorry. I probably said the wrong person.
It's okay.
But yeah, I mean, you assume if you go to visit someone, you're staying at their house, it's the holiday season.
Yeah.
You assume that they're going to spend some time with you and not just be on the phone with their ex-husband that they always complained about.
Yeah,
right?
That makes no sense.
So she tried to confront her about it, you know? And Cherrylle told Gay that Scott's doctor had given him bad news that was pretty drastic and that he would die in the next few days. And that's why she was staying on the phone with him. So again, she kind of did this negative spin where she tried to put it like she was doing the right thing to help him because he was about to die.
Yeah, not only was she doing something real shitty, she spun it to make it look like she was being such
the hero.
a good... Oh, man, that makes it even worse.
She fucking sucks. Yeah. So Gay thought it was strange, but, you know, she couldn't really do anything but buy the story. That's what she's telling her, so she's going to try and believe it or give her the benefit of the doubt. And she just shrugged it off. And after all, it's kind of like they weren't dating anymore, so it didn't really matter that much. She's just visiting. It's a temporary thing. And Cherrylle had always behaved kind of weirdly, right?
Yeah.
So she just let it go. They continued to spend the day together, but the afternoon came around and Scott never showed up to pick up the kids. And that's when she started to worry. So Gay decided to go check on him. When she arrived at the farmhouse, she found all the lights were on, the Christmas tree was lit, and there were still love songs playing in the background.
So saddest Christmas ever, dude. Oh,
yes.
Man.
That's so dark. It's so sad. So Gay walked through the house, and eventually, after going room to room, she found Scott dead in their son's bedroom.
The kids weren't there, right?
No.
Oh.
Yeah, the kids were over at Cherylle's house. Thank goodness. So Scott was wearing a blue sweater, but otherwise he was naked. And at first, Gay thought that he might be alive, like maybe he just passed out or whatever. He was just on the floor. But she realized after kind of looking more closely that his fingers were a really weird blue color. So, of course, they called paramedics and whatnot, but they pronounced him dead. In the scene of where he was found, there were pages of handwritten notes that were next to the phone where he was clearly talking to Cherrylle the night before. And there was also the mostly empty bottle of wine on the desk. The writing that he was doing was a letter to Cherrylle. And I have a little part of it. So it read, "What did you think was going to happen if I drank a bottle of wine, listening to music that we used to listen to? I'm going to think about you and me together. I feel like holding you close to me like never before. You and I are stuck because of all of the bad stuff that has happened to us in the last few years. We need to make it go away. I felt like all of the bad stuff would go away. I was probably supposed to die of cancer, but my life was spared, and I don't know why. But our lives are going by too fast." Are you crying?
No, it's my left eye's crying. Shut up. It's only
real if your right eye is crying.
It's exactly. No, that was really sad.
Yeah.
So sad.
So, I mean, he was just still so in love with her and so ready to take her back at any moment. It was so sad. So apparently that was pretty much the end of the letter. He put down his pen, he tried to go upstairs, and he passed away.
And, like, I wonder if she encouraged him to listen to the records and stuff, because he's like, what did you think was going to happen?
Right.
Like,
yeah, it's clear that she was manipulating the situation. They were talking about certain things. They were talking about music or things that they shared.
Jerk.
Yeah. Mean.
Evil.
Yeah. So Gay, of course, after finding him, told Cherrylle that Scott had passed away. And Gay recalls that Cherrylle seemed to have no reaction at all. She specifically asked what he looked like, which is fucking creepy.
Yeah, how do you answer that?
Yeah. I don't know. He looked good.
He looked dead.
Right. Like
what?
Yeah. What is that? So, of course, his death was initially blamed on his depression. Of course, he had recently gone through the cancer diagnosis. Even though he was in remission, he had lost his wife. So it seemed like to cops, they went with the simplest answer. Like, all signs point to he was depressed and he killed himself.
Yeah, he was writing a super sad letter.
Yeah, there was clearly something there, and they didn't really, I guess, care to look further at that point. But of course, they talked to people close to him, so there was a statement that Cherrylle gave to the police. Cherrylle said, "Scott called me. He sounded really down and really depressed. He spoke about a friend who had hung himself. He mentioned dreams, that he would wake up and that the dream was going on. He talked about a lot of things and sounded slurry. He didn't sound right. He sounded like he had been drinking. I believe the last time I spoke with him was around 4 a.m. He sounded fine. He had perked up and he was just going to bed." She definitely sprinkled in some depression there and kind of fed into this belief that it was suicidal, you know? And she fabricated really elaborate lies to cover up what she had done. And she hoped to convince anybody that knew her that her estranged husband had either died of cancer, which she still kind of seemed to tell people, or that he'd killed himself. To police, of course, she needed to make it look like a suicide, but it seemed like even talking to strangers, she kept up the cancer lie, which is fucking crazy.
She's so manipulative.
Yes. Awful.
Scary.
It keeps getting better, dude.
Oh, nice.
Oof. So at his funeral, she referred to herself as Scott's wife. And she tried to soak up like all the sympathy and attention of everybody that attended the funeral.
God, I bet you she brought her exes to the funeral too.
Right?
Oh man.
Ooh. Yeah.
How could you call like?
She's messy.
Okay, my left eye's gonna start crying, and that's so mean. Like,
yes, and self-centered, and just
you don't
very
deserve
sick.
that at all.
Yeah. Scott's mother, Myra, was so furious at the funeral that she stood up and walked out of her own son's funeral because she just couldn't bear to watch it anymore.
Good
And
for
I don't
you.
think I could either.
No.
Like, yeah.
I'm surprised she wasn't more involved with, like, questioning if, he killed
Cheryl
himself.
was involved.
If Cheryl was involved, exactly.
Yeah. But of course, like, the police looked at it as a suicide. They had no leads pointing to anything else anyway that was concrete. So it was just ruled a suicide and dropped.
Except for her bragging. I mean, I guess her exes aren't going to rat her out, but she's been bragging about it.
Yeah.
Wish she bragged to, like, people that she didn't have sex with.
That's the key. Nancy says that in the months after Scott died, Cherrylle became obsessed with the idea of having another baby. And she especially wanted a black baby for some reason. It was just an obsession.
What the fuck is going on?
Yeah, this woman is just fucking nuts. So she became so obsessed that she began making plans to kidnap a stranger's baby.
Just fuck a black dude.
Right? Well, that's the other thing. Thankfully, she didn't follow through with kidnapping. But she also tried to go to an adoption agency, and she told them that she had an infant that had been abducted, which is super weird. Yeah. She even coached Nancy into telling the adoption agents that she had assisted in delivering that baby at home.
Oh man, Nancy is my least favorite person in this story for just riding, like, just co-signing.
It's too much. That's way too much.
No.
Yeah. But according to Nancy, of course, the child never existed. Nancy also said that Cherrylle, like you said, had played some classified ads, hoping to meet a black man that would have a baby with her.
It's not that hard.
Yeah, easy.
Just meet some dudes.
Right. Eventually, she did meet someone from her classified ads, but even though they started dating, possibly sleeping together, he decided not to go along with the plan of getting her pregnant. Nancy says that when she first met Cherrylle, she thought she was kind and gentle. But over time, Nancy started to wonder if Cherrylle was only with her for money. So eventually, Cherrylle turned really bitter. She was sarcastic. She was verbally abusive towards Nancy. And Nancy tried to work things out, but she felt trapped. And nothing was getting better. Even if she tried different solutions and whatever, it just wasn't improving. So after a really particularly bad fight with Cherrylle, Nancy decided to break up with her in March of 1997. And Cherrylle was so nasty during the breakup that Nancy had to take her to court to get back her things. In court, Nancy alleged that Cherrylle locked her children in their rooms. She said that Cherrylle drugged them with sleeping medication and neglected them.
No way, dude.
Yes. Another former friend of Cherylle's also testified to seeing the same thing. A friend named Kim Knott told the court that Cherrylle drugged the children with cold medicine at bedtime to make them fall asleep.
They all watched this go down, dude. You guys are just as criminal. Like, you're
that's
to blame
the part
too.
where I'm just like, are you kidding me? Yes.
It's like, oh, you drugged your kid. You killed your husband too. How about we drop that in court too?
So many things. And there's so many people seeing this and saying so after the fact. Like, if I saw anybody do that, the next fucking morning I would be calling Child Protective Services.
Yeah, hey
right?
kids, we're going to see
if not that
anyone.
night. Like, like something. Because that just cannot happen. You can't do that shit.
No.
That's fucking evil. Yeah. So Kim also said that on many occasions she had to wash the children's sheets because they had wet the bed, probably like partially due to the medication or being locked in the room, and Cherrylle would not clean it up. She would just make them sleep in it. When family services worker kind of did finally have a home visit with Cherrylle, they found adequate food at the house. They found no locks on the doors. They found everything was fine. My initial response was like, okay, maybe this was made up to get back at her, but I'm still kind of torn because Cherrylle did admit that she had been expecting the visit. So she had time to prepare. She had adequate time to kind of get rid of the things that were brought up that would be a problem in the inspection. So I don't know.
She's just removing locks and doing all the laundry she can.
Right. Like, I think that's probably pretty likely.
I think if you wanted to get back at someone, I'd just drop the murder thing. I would
really
hint at it.
Yeah. So Cherrylle told the social workers that she, again, had this baby named Bajula, who was now in Jamaica with its father. So she dropped the kidnapping story, but moved on to something else. And Cherrylle coached her other children to say that they had seen this child, Bajula, too. However, of course, Nancy and Kim, and eventually later on the children, admitted to officials that this child did not exist. They said that Cherrylle made up the story about having a baby after all her plans to get this baby through other means did not work out. So after the court case for Cherrylle and Nancy's breakup and all the drama with Child Protective Services died down, Nancy decided she needed to report what she knew about Scott's death.
Good job, Nancy.
Finally.
Ooh.
So 5 months after the breakup, Nancy gave an official statement to police and did a videotaped interview. Nancy admitted that she was the one that had purchased the wine, she had brought the antifreeze, and Cherrylle had asked her to do so, and she had complied. And she had said that she had watched while Cherrylle, put together her plans and put together the wine and the antifreeze and got Scott to drink it.
Wow, she gave the whole truth.
Yes.
And nothing but the truth. That's good for her.
Yep.
I didn't expect that.
Eventually.
It took them to, hey, at least she did it. She could have just been half-assedly like.
Right. And maybe, with all the things going on, there's a big possibility she was scared.
Yeah.
She had seen her do certain things to the children, to the ex-husband. I don't know. Well, yeah, I want to give her the benefit of the doubt and say she's scared.
She killed the father of her children. Why are you an exception?
Right?
It's like, here,
you have to assume she's coming for you.
Yeah, have you tried this new wine, Nancy?
Never again. No more wine. So Nancy also told the police that Cherrylle had done some witchcraft and rituals and prayers, and that she had threatened that police would think that Nancy had done it if she reported it.
I bind you, Nancy.
I bind you, Nancy. I bind you from doing harm. Harm to yourself and harm to others. I bind you, Nancy.
I didn't think that lady's name was going to be... I didn't know there was going to be a Nancy in this story.
I
we were laughing before this.
That's the secret that I knew the whole time. I bind you, Nancy. So additional information that Nancy provided resulted in additional charges of fraud, falsifying academic credentials, and misleading police. So after 2 years after Scott's death, Cherrylle was finally also charged with his murder. Slow clap. Looks like you're jerking off a couple dicks. But I can take that as excitement.
Or shaking maracas. Jesus, get your head out of the gutter. The nutter gutter.
I know you better than that. So over the next few months, attorneys and detectives worked to build the case against Cherrylle. Their star witness, of course, was going to be Nancy. And of course, Cherrylle was fucking furious about this. Nancy's friend recalls that Nancy was really still in love with Cherrylle, but that she was also really afraid of her, and she thought that she might not make it to court to testify. And she was right to be afraid, because Cherrylle was also plotting to get rid of Nancy.
Oh, man.
So, 37-year-old Cherrylle approached 16-year-old Brent Crawford in mid-1997 and began a sexual relationship with him.
I thought he was
I could not see you over the mic, but I feel like your jaw is dropped, right?
Panties are dropped, but
same thing.
I thought she was gonna ask him, like, "Hey, you want to make $50? Murder?"
Right? No,
she's fucking this kid. What a weirdo!
Gonna pay him in pussy.
Oh,
yeah. And I've got to assume, like, she was with Scott for 20 years, right? Then she's been divorced for a little while. They had a bunch of kids.
Yeah.
This dude, Brent, must be the same age as some of her kids, is what I'm assuming in my head.
Gross.
Because I don't know officially, like, all the ages of her kids, but she's old enough and they were married long enough to where it would make sense that she would have a teenage kid. And that's fucked up.
Hey,
I mean, it's fucked up either way, but
yeah, it's
extra.
What's the conversion rate of pussy to US dollars? Do you know?
3. So, you know, they started sleeping together. They also started, like, smoking weed together. And eventually, once she felt like Brent had let his guard down, Cherrylle began talking to him about how this woman, Nancy, had done her wrong, how she had fucked her over, how she needed his help to get rid of Nancy. So, Cherrylle offered Brent $300 and a motorcycle if he killed Nancy.
Sold.
So Brent agreed to help Cherrylle.
Of course he did.
Yeah.
He didn't. Honestly, she could have done it for, seriously, just for vagina.
That's what I was thinking. Is like, is that MILF pussy not good enough? Like, there's got to be something wrong. Because, I mean, I feel like I could get someone to kill someone with just pussy, right?
Yeah.
And some titties. Like, I got sweet titties, too.
Yeah. Yeah. A titty flash.
So, I don't know. It's kind of like, makes me question her puss.
He's going to jail. She's
if
not
he still
actually
needs money and a motorcycle.
Yeah, that was just a good way to get him to do it because he's not getting the money. He's going to go to jail. She knows that. He's the fall guy.
Yes. Oh, totally. So Brent agreed to help Cherrylle so that Nancy couldn't testify against her. In August of 1997, Brent got really high and went to Nancy's house with a knife, and he was planning on slitting her throat.
You cannot do that. How much? You can't do that high. You can't.
First thing I thought was, you can't. There's no way.
No, not on weed.
No fucking way.
It just doesn't make sense.
I can understand meth, maybe.
Alcohol? PCP.
Yeah. Totally. But
maybe
just
acid.
smoking weed?
Yeah, that's just, you think too much. Same with shrooms or acid. That would be very hard for me to believe. Maybe acid if he did too much, but...
Yeah, I just don't understand how he could do that.
You're just like, should I do this? I don't know if I should do
But
this.
also,
Let me think about it.
He's 16. I would probably do some stupid shit at 16. Like, maybe I should smoke this before I go murder someone. I can't make good decisions about getting high at 16.
That's true. That's true.
Just saying. So when he arrived at her house, he found Nancy lying on the floor, passed out drunk. She had candles burning, so Brent decided that instead of slitting her throat, he would just flip over all the tables with candles, knock all those over, and leave.
Fuck, that's smart. Not to be a dick, but that's a...
It's because I got high. Yeah, I was going to slit her throat, but then I got high.
Now I'm tipping candles, and I don't know why. Why, man? Yeah, because I got high.
Because I got high.
Because I got high.
Yep.
Shout out to Palmdale.
So Nancy, of course, she was passed out and she was unable to escape. And she died in the house fire. I know. This whole time you were saying things about Nancy, and I'm like, don't say that about Nancy. She dies.
She dies. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So Nancy passed away.
Well, now she looks really guilty. Now Cherrylle, all signs point to Cherrylle.
That's the thing, is it's just making it worse for Cherrylle. I mean, it's just so fucked up. I can't even believe that she claimed the life of another person, but fuck, man.
And fucked a kid.
Yes.
She's just adding charges.
Yeah. So the detectives somehow, I don't know, found Brent pretty quickly, it seems, and they questioned him. And he admitted his involvement immediately. When Brent was interrogated, he admitted that he had a relationship with Cherrylle, and he told the cops that he set the fire. However, a little bit of time passed, his lawyers got involved, and when trial came along, he claimed he changed his story entirely. He claimed he had nothing to do with it. So when the trial arrived, the judge was extremely upset that, in his opinion, the detectives used questionable interrogation tactics.
Were they high too?
That's pretty suspect. But according to the judge, the detectives had manipulated and threatened Brent. The judge said, quote, "They stroked his ego, made him feel like a big shot and a big shot criminal and a folk hero for probably the first time in his life. They certainly took advantage of his low self-esteem." So no matter how they obtained the confession, there were also letters and phone calls where Brent admitted to various people that he committed the crime and gave graphic details. So I understand the judge trying to protect, and I appreciate that, because there are plenty of people that get coerced, and the confessions are fucked up. I mean, we've definitely heard of many of those cases. But this wasn't really that kind of situation. It wasn't a situation where he was innocent and the confession was completely coerced and false. This isn't like a Brendan Dassey. This isn't a West Memphis 3. He actually did do it. So I get the judge trying to protect him, but still, he murdered someone.
How pissed would his parents be if they're like, you were on the phone? Like, what's the point of getting a lawyer?
Right? Like, if you're just going to narc yourself out, like, why am I paying legal fees?
Yeah, use the public defender.
Right?
That's so dumb.
Yeah. So Brent pled not guilty and stood trial under the Young Offenders Act, which I assume is something like Canada's version of being tried as a minor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I should have probably looked that up, but
we could guess.
I'm sick, you guys. Anyway, Cherrylle was also charged in Nancy's murder, but pled guilty to the lesser charge of, like, counseling him.
Yeah.
Brent was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life with eligibility for parole after 10 years.
Oh, man.
Yes. So some point in his incarceration, Brent was moved to a minimum security prison, and in 2011, he escaped.
No way.
Yes way.
No.
Yes. So he was found a short time later, basically during a police investigation of another unrelated crime.
There's a bunch of weed. There's a bunch of weed dealers. He's getting high.
Yes. And I don't know like too much of the specifics, but I just wanted to include that little side story. What it sounded like to me was like he was hanging out in some sort of fucked up motel or some sort of trap house, and there was a raid or some sort of bust, and he was discovered.
Yeah.
You know?
They're like, we're going to need IDs from everyone.
Exactly. And he's like, I don't have one, but you can take a picture of my face. And they're like, you escaped prison.
There's no pockets
Let's get
in
you back there.
Orange jumpsuits.
Right?
I don't have my ID on me.
He still had cuffs on. Nice ankle bracelets. So anyway, that's what happened to Brent. And eventually, of course, he went back to prison, blah, blah, blah. When Cherylle's first-degree murder trial came around, her defense decided not to have a jury trial and just to have the case heard in front of the judge. The defense used this tactic because a jury is believed to be more easily swayed by like bad character kind of testimony and evidence about Cherylle's kind of promiscuity, drug use, bad parenting, witchcraft, a bunch of those things was believed to be something that would be major points against her with a jury. So they went with just a judge trial.
Wait, they get to choose that? The defense gets to choose that?
Fucking Canada, I guess.
What? I feel like, do we do that here too?
I didn't pass the bar. I have to confess.
I'll ask you when you do.
Now you know.
I feel like just America's just as crazy, so we would probably have something
there's some
ridiculous
crazy
like
shit.
that. Where you get to pick like because we get to pick our jury, right?
Yes. Well, I
So-
mean, it's something that has to be decided by both defense and prosecution.
Okay.
It has to be agreed upon.
Okay.
But you would think that it would be the same thing with a judge or a jury.
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's crazy.
I'm just going to say it's Canada.
It
and
is
I don't
Canada.
understand
Fuck
Canada.
Canada. No, I'm
I
just
don't
kidding.
speak Canadian.
I
Like,
love
I don't
Canada.
understand this. I love Canada.
Yeah, my
for sure.
family's from Ontario. That's why I like all this.
We know how you feel about your family.
Yeah, they cool.
So the judge ruled against allowing videotapes of Cherylle's deceased ex, Nancy, to be used as evidence in court. Testimony by Brent to establish her character to try and like kill Nancy was also ruled inadmissible.
Can you just say, hey, they were fucking?
Right? Like
That's all you need.
yes. The judge also didn't allow evidence from a doctor named Dr. Antoine Lenars, who was a psychologist and an expert in suicide specifically, who was going to testify that Scott did not commit suicide, that it was actually a murder. I don't know exactly what they did enter as evidence. It seemed like there were so many things that weren't allowed. If they weren't allowed the video of Nancy, Brent couldn't testify, the psychologist, like who did they allow to testify? But somehow there was 50 witnesses and 2 months of testimony.
Yeah, what comes above that? What
Right, like to me that's like the key fucking evidence.
Yeah.
So I just thought it was important to mention that that wasn't used in the trial, which
Some-
is weird to me.
Somebody saying that he didn't commit suicide and they're like an authority on that whole like mental health, you know?
It's just an expert.
Yeah, an expert.
You
exactly.
need experts to testify because you don't know everything about suicidality.
No.
Yeah, it's just weird. And even, Brent and the videotape, I just don't understand why none of that was entered, but whatever. So the prosecution painted Cherrylle as a vindictive, miserable, promiscuous, conniving woman who had this grudge against her ex-husband. And the defense painted her as a loving wife and mother who was wrongly accused. After the 50 witnesses and 2 months of testimony, the judge came out with an 86-page decision for his ruling, which I've fucking never heard of.
It's a yes or no fucking
right?
What?
You just need either guilty or not guilty written on a paper. That's it.
What I meant. Guilty or not guilty. You know what's weird too?
Yes or no. Circle one and put it in my locker.
You even not listening to anything on the case, all you'd have to tell me is this lady had a husband that ended up dead, and then somehow while she was on trial for her husband being dead, her other ex that was
a key witness died.
I don't even have to know anything else. That's
guilty.
It. Guilty.
One word on a page.
Yes.
Now we just saved 85 pages. Yeah. Save those trees.
And 50 witnesses. A lot of money. You have to pay for witnesses, right? Maybe not in Canada. You have to pay for shit.
So in the judge's decision, he described her as a bitter, conniving woman and said that there was no doubt that Scott Dell was murdered from poisoning by Cherrylle.
No doubt.
There was no diggity. So I have a little excerpt from the judge's decision. The judge said, I find that from 1992 onward, Cherrylle Dell expressed a hatred towards her husband and wished for him to be dead. She wanted the exclusive custody of their children, sole occupation and possession of the farm, and wanted her husband out of her life forever. There is seldom a case where we hear such strong and consistent evidence about the character of a deceased person. Mr. Dell was very positive about his life and his love for his children. He wanted to live.
Actually, I recant my statement. Those 86 pages are probably her or the judge is ripping her a new asshole. That's so
I hope
good.
he read it out loud to her.
All 86 pages. That's so good.
Yeah.
Good for the judge.
Yeah. There's a lot to say, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he just nailed it. It was a guy, right? Guy judge?
Yeah.
Nailed it.
So Cherrylle was sentenced to life in prison, no chance of parole after 25 years. So when the verdict was read, Cherrylle cried briefly, but when the judge gave her the opportunity to speak, she declined. As she was being led out of the courtroom, Cherrylle looked at her mother and mouthed, I love you, Mom. I love you. After the trial, Cherylle's mother said, we went in with misgivings. We thought it would go either way, even though we knew she was guilty.
What?
That's your mom's.
Your mom
if your mom
knew.
Doesn't have your back, you fucking killed someone. That was the only witness that should have took the stand.
Damn.
Hey, moms, what do you think happened? Oh, no, she killed him. All right, you're guilty.
Cheryl, you're grounded. Oh, no. What a terrible person.
Yeah. Yeah. If your mom's not on board, you're bad. Yeah. So in jail, Cherrylle is known by the nickname Angel. So Cherylle's lawyer said that soon after her trial, she was almost killed in prison when she was attacked by another inmate with a metal rod. The attack left Cherrylle with devastating physical and psychological injuries. Cherrylle recovered and went on to earn certificates for completing different rehab programs, including cognitive therapy. Her lawyer said, quote, subsequently, she's completed numerous psychological programs and has received very positive psychological assessments regarding her dealing with the offense in particular and with respect to her future.
Don't care.
Right? So she was transferred to a facility closer to her family and will be eligible for parole in 2022. Right around the corner.
Man.
Yep.
Wait, what year was this? Because it was 25 years. Oh, it was 90.
It was like
90s.
the 80s and 90s. Okay. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. Yeah, the murders took place in the 90s.
90s, yeah, 90s. That's crazy.
But things started going south in the 80s.
Dude.
Yep. And that's our first witchcraft story.
You want to get
Cherrylle
some wine?
Dell.
We don't even drink.
I'd love to do some shots of wine with you.
Oh, man.
Yep. So I know that there wasn't a lot of witchcraft, but that case was a doozy.
I mean, it's got a woman in it, so it's
witchcraft. I mean, really, they're all witches, right? That's a thing.
Oh, man. You know what's so weird is that I was cleaning out my trunk today, and I don't ever see antifreeze.
Are you a witch?
I fucking have a thing of antifreeze in the back, but I don't know how long it's been leaking, dude. But I have silicone lubes, a packet of silicone lubes spilled all over my car, and antifreeze everywhere. So I was like,
oh
yeah. And then I took it out, and then I put it on the floor. I don't ever put antifreeze in my car. I didn't even know that shit. I didn't know I had jumper cables in the back of my car.
Wow.
And then it just started spilling everywhere, and I have antifreeze on my shoes right now. So
wow,
it's like a coincidence. Yeah, I had this dream that it was like
it was a total coincidence.
It was a total coincidence.
The vision board. Yeah. So that's my crazy witchcraft story for this week.
That was good.
Yeah.
Witchy
woman. Okay. I think that's it. Yeah?
Yeah.
You want to thank some Patreon people?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So Maggie, Aaron, Francesca,
Jillian,
Caitlin. Yeah. Woo-hoo! And also thank you to the people that increased their Patreon pledge, Angela, Carrie, and Heather.
Heather.
Thanks, you guys.
Thanks, ladies.
So if you guys want access to stickers and little merch items and whatnot, join our Patreon. We also are going to be putting out some bonus episodes during the time that we're going to maybe miss a couple weeks. So don't be scared if we're not here around the end of March.
Yeah.
We're coming back. I promise.
Hard.
Once I recover from surgery, I'm all the way back.
Woo.
So also, if you want to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, we've got links for those. If you want to read more about the case, we're going to put links in the show notes. If you need some kind of pick-me-up self-help stuff, we've got those in the description as well.
I'm going to ask you to beatbox with your nose when you come back.
Oh my God. I'm going to be all over that. That and deep throating. I'm looking forward to it.
It's the little things in life, you know?
It's the little things, or hopefully big things. And what else? Oh, Threadless. If you want shirts and phone cases, journals, mugs. Going like wildfire. Yeah. We've got those on Threadless.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty much it for Witchcraft Part 1. And we'll be back with Witchcraft Part 2.
Yeah.
Coming up soon.
Yes.
You've got an old-timey story for me. I've heard through the grapevine.
Witches, so it's probably real. It's not mental health or anything.
You ready to go like cast some spells and voodoo dolls and fucking true crime?
I bind you, Brianna.
I bind this pussy.
Is it power times 3 or whatever?
Power of 3 times 3.
There you go.
Earth, where, something, water,
it's fire,
pear,
bear. All right, true crime and chill. Let's go.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Let's say you just bought a house. Bad news is, you're one step closer to becoming your parents. You'll proudly mow the lawn, ask if anybody noticed you mowed the lawn, tell people to stay off the lawn, compare it to your neighbor's lawn, and complain about having to mow the lawn again. Good news is, it's easy to bundle home and auto through Progressive and save on your car insurance, which, of course, will go right into the lawn. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Discount not available in all states or situations. And now, an ad from Dad.
All right, save money on car insurance when you bundle home and auto with Progressive. Can I take these off? All right. What is this? This looks good. Wow. That's well made. Where did you get this? I'm talking to you with the hair. Yeah, where did you get this? It's good stuff. That's solid. That's not veneer. That's solid stuff.
Progressive can't say